Hello friends, welcome to the Rayo Moon Oracle. I'm Rayo and today we are continuing our Tarot Discovery series with card number 19, the Sun card. I actually did want to start with the numerology of the card today because I think it's really important for how it ties into the deeper meaning of the card and its connection to other cards. So with the Sun card being card number 19, if we add that together to get our numerology, 1 plus 9 is 10, which is important to note, and then that also reduces down to a 1. And it's the only card in the tarot that has a double reduction, which I think is really, really interesting, and that's how it kind of ties into other cards. So with our moon card in the last video, that was a 9, and that was another pause in our Major Arcana, a breather, taking a break. And then we move through into the next cycle and coming on to the Sun card with card number 19, and that 10's important because it's the fulfillment finally. That's like that last bit that's done, that we have finished out that cycle. It is complete and completely fulfilled now at this point, and that's important to note. But then with it reducing back down to 1, that's also important because it's the start of a new cycle. It's the beginning of the next set, the next cycle, the next lessons. So it ties into the Fool card because the Fool card is that like next step, that's new journey, that's coming full circle, coming back around again to the Fool once we get to the end of the Major Arcana. So that Fool has that childlike innocence to it, which we'll talk about with the meanings of the Sun card. And then this also ties into the Wheel of Fortune card, which is card number 10 in the Major Arcana, that cycle. And I think it's interesting with the Wheel of Fortune, the ties to the whole planets, the whole movements, the whole universe in this case, and the Sun's a very big part of that as well. And then with it reducing down to 1, that's also the Magician card. That's that energy, vitality, that magic coming in. That's new prospects beginning to be able to create our own reality again. So just very interesting with that double reduction here, that major turning point coming in, and the Sun tying into all these cards. So with our Sun card, our keywords here are happiness, success, exuberance, prosperity, love, children, family, warmth, radiance, empowerment, enlightenment, vitality, clarity, power, creation, joy, luck, rejuvenation, and positivity. So obviously, astrologically, the Sun is associated with the Sun, but the Sun is ruled by Leo. So Leo is that kind of that ego, that's presentation, that's it's a very forward-facing energy, very like, hey, I'm here energy. Very obviously, the Sun is very present in all of our lives. We'd be dead if it wasn't. But this is fire element energy coming in, and I definitely think with the Sun there is a connection to all the signs because of the Sun being the center of our little universe here. Every planet revolves around the Sun, but in the zodiac, all the planets are like how it relates to the Earth. So I think it's just interesting for me noting that the Sun is like, okay, kind of ties in with all planets here. With the original Rider-Waite imagery, we see a child on a white horse here with sunflowers all around it. So we're getting that childlike innocence. The sunflowers are an interesting notes for kind of common symbology in tarot cards for the Sun. And I'm not a big fan of this original imagery either, like I was with the Moon card, but it is what it is. I can see kind of the purpose and the point for all of it. So the Sun, obviously, common symbology, have to have the Sun in the Sun card. So that energy is like the life-giving force, the warmth, the heat, the light. The horse in this case, not a common one I've seen in a ton of other cards, but that horse is kind of that purity and steadfastness, that power in a kind of physical form. Children are very common, or childlike things are common in Sun cards from what I've seen. So that is that childlike innocence, that purity again coming in, a little bit of ignorance, but in that like, hey, a child hasn't learned things yet, right? So we get that like joy and happiness as well. Ignorance is bliss. Sunflowers also super common, which is cool to kind of see. I love sunflowers, but that's that Sun energy to me translating into actual like physical growth on the planet. So we see growth in that, and then sunflowers are always representative of positivity in my mind. So our 3 other cards I pulled for us today before I hop into kind of the other meanings. First one is the Gilded Tarot, Sun card from that one. So with this one, what I think is interesting, the Sun's obviously like half the card here, which is super important, but I like with this card how it is showing space as a whole. So it's the Sun out in space, and we see all the other planets here. It's not like accurate by any means, but we see the whole zodiac, all the other planets. So I think that part really represents to me the sun's connection to all the different signs, the connection to all the different planets, and how it influences all those different aspects of our lives. The sun's a very, very important thing in the tarot, in zodiac and astrology, like all those pieces. The sun is like literally the center of our universe here, and that is really represented in this card. And the Gilded Tarot is just gorgeous imagery as a whole. I love the artwork in the Gilded Tarot. So I liked that one. With the three cards I pulled for today, they are all very different, which I appreciate, and I think it gives good different imagery, like this one, right? So this is from the Tarot of the Divine, and this is the sun god Ra. And everything that it kind of encompasses. The Tarot of the Divine has different stories attached to each of the different cards in the tarot. And this one comes out of Egypt. So we get a little bit of the imagery for like plant growth because it's on the water here, probably on the Nile. The sun god Ra, that life force, that giving life force. The sun god Ra ruling over the sun, of course. And then finally, the last card I pulled for us today is from the Night Before Christmas Tarot. This one I thought was really good, representing the childlike innocence here and the childlike joy that the sun card does have. We see Jack here and he's looking at Christmas lights and has this just massive smile on his face. He's super happy, and him discovering Christmas Town revitalizes him. It gives him joy again. It helps him find his purpose again in the end, because he's able to have this experience with Christmas and trying to bring joy to children himself through Christmas, but then he's able to revitalize himself and his purpose with Halloween Town specifically and enjoy what he does as well. So it brings passion back into his life, it brings joy back into his life, helps revitalize him, empowers him, gives him a new perspective, which is that enlightenment piece coming in. So it's just cool to see if the scene from the movie, right? Him just running around Christmas Town, looking at all of the different things, asking what is this and what is that and what that means and what that does. So he just has this complete childlike innocence for this whole new thing he has never seen before. And I think the sun card is very interesting how it represents that, using the movie imagery, and I think it's a very good call on that artist's part and the tarot as a whole for like, hey, no, this is literally the sun card, what this means, him looking at the Christmas lights. So super unique perspective on that card. Other meanings for the sun card that I found from my research, we have purity of spirit and mind, so that childlikeness kind of coming back in, represents good partnerships and marriage. The sun helps nourish and heals us, so good for our health coming in, because it's bringing in energy, brings in our life force. It helps with our vitality and health in that way. Counter to the moon card, it's a very masculine card. It's kind of that more male energy, that paternal energy, where the moon card was the female, the maternal side, the feminine side. But it has the growth and rebirth in children, which I thought was interesting, where it's like, nope, the maternal card doesn't have that. The sun card has that. The birth and fertility is present in this card. Lots of optimism and enthusiasm. A positive shift in our life is happening when the sun card comes out. Lots of fulfillment and clear vision when working with the universe or working with the universe. I thought that was super important to kind of note in my own research, because it's working with the universe as a whole, working with the universe in tandem, going with the flow of the universe, because, hey, this is how it cycles. This is how everything moves through. There are constant movement and cycles taking place, and us working with the universe, I think, is very present when the sun card is present as well. Carefree and innocence, that childlikeness coming back, and then just overall looking on the positive side or looking on the bright side. With our reversals, when I was doing research with the sun card, it talks about the sun never really being like a negative card to get in the tarot specifically. Coming out in the reverse, or its negative aspects are just, hey, it's just a pause. It's like it's the sun going behind the clouds for a minute. The sun is still present. It's still there. It hasn't just actually disappeared. It's just harder to see for this given moment. So the light is gone. So therefore, like, our energy is exhausted, or we don't have enough of our energy. We can feel tired or depressed, burned out. The energy, when there's too much sun energy, it can be kind of tyrannical. We can have vanity. We can have arrogance here. Runaway ego, or what I thought was interesting was the what it calls like reckless idealism, or it's like over like toxic positivity is another one that kind of comes to mind, where it's just like we're not being realistic about life, or just being positive with too positive without having the backing or like putting in the work for it. It'll all work out, but we do absolutely nothing to actually help make it work out, right? We have delays and doubts coming in with the reverse sun, lacking joy, blocked happiness, sadness, pessimism, that's that depression piece, setbacks. We can be too focused on the negative, which is that sun behind the clouds again, right? Where it's like, oh no, the sun's gone, it's never coming back. We're too focused on the negative, where it's like, no, just let the weather pass, it'll come back out, it'll be present again. No, we don't have to worry, right? And that's where when this card's coming out, it's like it's not really like a negative coming out in a tarot reading if it's in the reverse. It's just like, and now it's a setback, it's a minor pause. It's just like we have to wait a little bit and then the energy will clear and move forward again. So a couple last things. Conceitedness shows up with this card, and too much, and then negativity. But again, it's only temporary, and I think that's important to note with tarot specifically. The Sun card, it's just a temporary piece here. What I thought was interesting for the tarot and my personal interpretations, the Moon card does not feel like too much of a negative card by comparison, because I just love the Moon. It has its positive and negatives, of course, right? But then I think a Moon card coming out is a little bit more positive when it's in the upright versus in the reverse. And then same with the Sun card, right? Where it's like, okay, hey, it's positive is positive for me, but it's negative is also negative, even though that's not maybe the original Rider Waite interpretation or the original like interpretation in the tarot. But do keep in mind for yes or no, it does equal yes if it's coming out in the tarot usually. So Sun card, it's just a very interesting card. I liked working with it. I like seeing it in all the different kind of ways the imagery can show up here by looking at all the different cards. But we're kind of coming down to the end here. We only got 2 more cards after this. And the Sun card is an interesting one to kind of note and look at right now. And yeah. Not too much more there for us, friends. So that's all I got for us today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.